Seems like every week some crap's happening in AEW. Hangman is down and out. We don't know if he's injured. We don't know if it's a work. We don't know if it's a shoot. All we know is that match ended definitively. Got some stuff to talk about. Bray Wyatt's return on SmackDown. What that means for WWE. What happened tonight on Dynamite. We're seeing I thought it was a pretty solid episode. But yeah, the whole thing with Hangman is all in flux. I don't think anyone knows what's going on. But as I find stuff out, I will let you guys know in real time. Let's get this show on the road. All right, done with that music. Episode 36, Smells Like Wrestling podcast on the Smells Like Wrestling YouTube channel. Again, your host, Eric here, on another week of wrestling, this time on a Tuesday because of the change in scheduling for AEW. And once again, we got a lot to talk about. This is a pretty eventful couple of days. We have finally the first positive wording on a weekly Ring of Honor show, apparently happening in 2023, as per Tony Khan. Again, we don't deal in speculation here. This came right from the source, the Big Cheese TK. And so finally, what shape that's going to come in, what network, is it going to be streaming? Is it going to be on cable? Is it going to be accessible to a large audience? None of this we know. But AEW desperately needs Ring of Honor to have its own home. It's kind of been riding piggyback on AEW television. It's oversaturating the product with belts. You never know what belts are important, what belts are not important. I mean, unless you really do follow independent wrestling, that's really the only way you're going to notice the importance of these titles. But for someone who's not watching it, that's going to be hard to figure out. Now, to be quite honest, AEW is pretty much more for the hardcore audience, so I don't expect many people who are watching AEW not to know, but I guess that ends up being explained by the fans. I don't know. There's a lot of ways of thinking about it, but that roster needs a pressure release valve. They need to send talent over to that brand, and that should allow for more people to have more television time and for better stories to be told. So yeah, I mean, that's one thing. We had Bray Wyatt come back. To be quite honest, I'm not really sure what to think about it yet, because I don't know whether or not this is part of his character or not. I mean, he's a guy that everything is pretty much like in character with him. You know what I mean? I don't really know what to believe in terms of, is he playing his character? Is he doing a split personality? We don't know. I mean, based on the end of the promo, that's kind of how it seemed, where it was just a split personality. So, I don't know. I don't know what that means for the character. I don't know what that means for his storyline. I don't know what that means for his first opponent. Right now, there is pretty much, in my opinion, not enough to say about Bray Wyatt to really put out a verdict of whether or not his return was a hit. It really is going to come down to when the bell rings at the end of his first match, whether or not that was something worth it. But yeah, so that's pretty much the only other like big thing that went on, in my opinion, aside from the Ring of Honor announcement. I mean, Triple H has COVID. That's another thing, but obviously we hope he's okay. So yeah. So we're going to start with our coverage of Dynamite tonight. It was a pretty packed Dynamite. They were calling it Title Tuesday, being that they're doing an episode of Dynamite on a Tuesday and not on a Wednesday. Main event for the night was AEW World Champion Jon Moxley against Hangman Adam Page, which will have a lot to tell once we get to the ending of our review. Toni Storm versus Hikaru Shida for the interim women's championship. Chris Jericho versus Dalton Castle for the Ring of Honor World title. They had Renee Paquette do an interview with Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta. The trios titles were up for grabs. Death Triangle, the current trios champs, against Orange Cassidy and Best Friends. Orange Cassidy, obviously the new All-Atlantic champ after last week, and the promo by MJF. So a lot of stuff was going on tonight. It was all in the hometown of Cincinnati of Jon Moxley. So yeah, here we go. So the night started off with the trios championship match. Death Triangle defeats Best Friends and Orange Cassidy to retain the trios title. Great match, high flying. We've seen this match before. This is I think one of the finals matches for this, if I'm not mistaken, or at least I think this was for the vacant trios titles for when the Bucks and Omega had to drop them. So we already knew that this was going to be a good match, high flying, crazy spots, lucha spots everywhere. It ended with Pac and the Lucha Brothers winning. Pac didn't end up using the hammer, so they basically won pretty much clean. So I guess that ends a little weird heelish streak that Pac went on. Shivani is backstage interviewing Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter with Rebel. Pretty much they were saying that one of them was going to be the world champ by the end of the year, to which I really hope that's Jamie Hayter. But we will see. Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida, they had a match. Toni Storm won. It was a solid match. I kind of wish it was maybe a teensy bit longer. Like, I felt like just when they started getting going, it kind of ended, but still a solid match. Normally not like the greatest matches. Sorry, it looks like the Kingdom of Heaven opened up behind me. Post-match, they had Jamie Hayter and Rebel hit the ring. Basically beat the shit out of everybody. Riho came back. Okay. Riho, I just, I'm not really like a fan of Riho. I think she's a great wrestler. It's just the character I'm not too much of a fan of. It's just not what I look for in a wrestler. That's just my personal opinion. So it looks like there we go. So now the women's division adds another face. They had Saraya come out to fight Britt Baker. I'm assuming this is going to be Saraya versus Britt Baker at Full Gear. I mean, if this isn't leading up to that, I don't know what is, but I feel like that's the match to make. They had Renee Paquette backstage with FTR. FTR wants the AW tag titles. Finally, this comes out. They want the titles. This is going to be the beginning of a pretty awesome storyline with FTR. They're pretty much the hottest tag team out there. I saw, which actually another thing I wanted to mention. If you have a subscription to New Japan World, if you're a fan of FTR, you owe it to yourself to watch that match that happened at night 1 of Royal Quest against Aussie Open for the IWGP heavyweight tag titles. Incredible match. I don't want to give away too much. It was just a great match. If you like tag team wrestling, if you liked FTR, that's the shit. That's what you want to go see. We had Alex Marvez backstage with Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Darby Allin. Looks like Jay Lethal and Darby Allin are going to run it back again. Lethal ends up pinning Darby with the loading bay door and then putting him in the figure 4. So we'll see what goes on there. They had Tony Schiavone, and this was probably one of the bigger parts of the night. So they had Tony Schiavone in the ring with Regal. Before Regal even got to say anything, MJF came out. Regal takes out his brass knucks. You see MJF. He takes the Dynamite Diamond ring. He takes it off. He puts it away. He tells Regal, I'm not here to fight. I don't have my ring on. Put away the brass knucks. I'm just here to talk. Then he tells a story, and I believe this story was hinted at on social media because MJF had a picture of, I think it was himself, Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and one other guy. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Otis. I'm not sure. But they were backstage in the tryouts, I guess, before a NXT. MJF said he was 19. He was training. He was informed by his trainers he was going to get extra work at the Barclays Center. So he was as an extra or whatever. So he got introduced to Regal, had tryout matches in front of Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, Adam Pearce, William Regal. Regal pulled him aside, brought him into a room and said, sell me in 3 minutes. Regal's jaw apparently hit the floor, according to MJF. Regal said he promised him a job, but never happened but it never ended up coming to fruition because Regal found out that at the time MJF was 19 and he told him he was too young. The crowd started chanting, you fucked up to Regal. MJF said that Regal told him the names of guys that got hired and like Cesaro, obviously Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley. So Regal told MJF to send him emails of his progress with videos of his matches. But after month 3, Regal told MJF that he wasn't impressed with his acting skills. He wasn't one of the high-class talents that WWE wanted to look at, and basically crushed MJF. And MJF said that basically the email wanted to kill himself, but he said that if he did that, he'd turn all the naysayers correct. So he decided to go on a roll and decide to become the best professional wrestler that he could be. He's 26 right now, so this happened about 10 years ago. Regal screamed at MJF saying that if he held on to that email for all those years, he had it easy. He said that Regal was fighting when he was 16, fighting grown men and getting beat up. And he said he never gave up either. So he said basically comparing his life to MJF's and basically saying, you had it easy if you weren't having grown men beat the crap out of me. He said before MJF was even born, Regal was interviewing Tony Schiavone, and he never put his hands on a commentator. He said that he's he's an old school villain, and MJF basically said, Regal said that MJF basically let him down by taking shortcuts, hiring people to do his dirty work, using the diamond ring, and Regal turned his back and he said, if you want to be the devil, do it. MJF put in the diamond ring, but he couldn't hit Regal. Regal said that MJF still had more left to prove. It was pretty freaking awesome. I guess it's now coming down to the fact where MJF's going to be one of those, he's going to be a fighting champion, but he's going to be a heel. He's going to be an asshole, but he's going to fight everybody and beat him. Like, enough of the ring, like, all the times of him cheating to win, like when he cheated with Darby and he cheated with everybody else, all those times, I guess like that, MJF is over. He's going to start beating guys clean. He's going to be an asshole, but he's going to be a guy who could out-wrestle everybody. So, and he's not going to do a sneaky cash-in. He's going to go Well, obviously we'll get to that once we talk about the end of the match. They do a video package to introduce Dalton Castle. Renee Paquette was backstage with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. They're gonna fight the Varsity Athletes. If they win, they get their scissoring trademarks back. So I guess it's something for the Acclaimed to do until they fight a real tag team, which I assume is either going to be they're going to run back Swerve in Our Glory, or it's going to be against FTR. But if that's happening next week, I don't see the Acclaim's tag team reign. Like, no way you're having FTR lose to Swerve in Our Glory. FTR is on a hot streak. They have 3 title belts. I don't see it happening unless Keith Lee and Swerve cheat to win, and then that protects the champs. And then they go on to fight the Acclaimed, in which I believe should be a cage match. I'm going to call this right now. It should be Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed in a cage match. They do a little song and dance with FTR chasing to win the belts. It gives the Acclaimed a great feud to go into, great matches. They could beat a couple of more tag teams, and then they inevitably lose to FTR. No one would complain about the Acclaimed losing to FTR because everyone wants FTR to win, period. The Acclaimed, they're a young tag team. They struck while the iron is hot. They gave them the belts. They made a lot of money with merch. I say if you have them hold on to the belts for, I don't know, maybe until winter's coming, that could be it. Then you have FTR win the belts on TV, or I don't know, or you hold off and you don't do that until Revolution, which would be the next pay-per-view after Full Gear. But Revolution doesn't happen usually until like March or April. So unless you're going to give like the Acclaimed a long title run and you're going to have FTR chasing them for a long time, I really don't see where else they're going to go on with this storyline. I feel like it writes itself. FTR either A, Swerve in Our Glory cheats, they go on to fight the Acclaimed at Full Gear, or FTR wins and they end up fighting them at Full Gear and winning. Or maybe they end up fighting... Actually, no, the other pay-per-view, I guess, is what? Final Battle? Final Battle has to be... I think they announced it. I forgot the date, but FTR could totally fight for the AEW tag belts because they're the ROH champions. So maybe they sweeten the deal with the Acclaimed and put the ROH belts on the line. They do a winner-take-all deal. Because that's what they did for the IWGP belts at Forbidden Door. They put the ROH belts on the line. And it was a winner-take-all match. So, they had Renee Paquette interviewing Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta. Danielson said basically the loss to Jericho wasn't, his ideal outcome. But Danielson said that he still has high hopes for Daniel Garcia. And with the right guidance, he could be pretty much the best wrestler ever. Eula kind of seemed annoyed the entire time Danielson was saying this, and he said that that Garcia was using him, that Claudio and Mox and himself saw all of this coming a mile away. Everyone but Danielson, and pretty much Yuta walked off disappointed in Danielson. So I don't know if it's going to be a double turn. Maybe Daniel Garcia ends up becoming a face while Wheeler Yuta becomes a heel. I'm not really too sure, but two really good young wrestling talents in the middle of another feud with two really good wrestling legends, which is Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho. So I'm curious to see where this is all kind of going, because Danielson hasn't been winning much since he came back. Like, he's only beating like guys that you expect him to beat, but like when it comes to these big matches, he's not winning. Like, he's not beating guys like Daniel Garcia. He's not beating Chris Jericho. So I am kind of curious as to where this whole reign, this Ring of Honor reign of Jericho, where he's basically going to be the most, dishonorable champion in Ring of Honor history, like where this is going to end up. Like, you only do that when you have someone who has the most honor come and fight. So who are they going to build up as the most honorable Ring of Honor wrestler to fight the most dishonorable champion they've had? So we'll see. Speaking of, Chris Jericho defeats Dalton Castle. I thought this was a great match. I'm a big Dalton Castle fan. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was an awesome match. I like that Jericho has this running gimmick with Aubrey where they pretty much get in each other's faces. But I thought it was a fantastic match. Jericho wins. I think was there any? Oh yeah, and Jericho actually didn't cheat to win. He just won. So there's that. But then he decided to go after Ian Riccaboni because he's now going after anything that has to do with Ring of Honor. So he's beaten Ring of Honor champions like Dalton Castle. He's beaten Ring of Honor ring announcers, and now he's going to try and beat up Ring of Honor commentators. So he went after Ian Riccaboni. Jerry Lynn came out, and then Jericho hit him with a tombstone and laid him out on top of the belt. AEW Rampage, The Acclaim versus Varsity Athletes, Willow Nightingale versus Penelope Ford, Roosh versus Dark Order's 10, and Hook defends the FTW title against Ari Daivari. Dynamite next week, FTR versus Swerve in Our Glory for the number one contendership to the AEW tag belts. The claim to FTR's number one contendership is that they pretty much haven't been beat. Swerve in Our Glory's claim is they were the ex-champs and they were screwed out of the belts. So we'll see what happens. Backstage, they had Jade Cargill wanting to know where her TBS belt was. Nyla Rose, she was trying to find Nyla Rose because Nyla Rose stole it. And now they're saying Nyla Rose is going to be at Rampage. So Jade is like, if Nyla doesn't give the belt back, she's going to hijack the entire show. So we'll see. All right, so this is the Moxley Hangman match. And again, I don't know really. Obviously Hangman got hurt at the end of the match. There was a King Kong lariat. I don't know if it was from the impact of the lariat or from him hitting the ground. It looks like he landed square on his head in the middle of the ring. And that was it. That was it. They called the match. They kept the cameras off of him. They called an audible. They had MJF come out, pretty much pretend like he was going to cash in the belt. And then he kind of basically cut a quick promo saying, Regal said that I, take shortcuts. I'm not going to do it. I'm challenging Moxley for the belt at Full Gear. I want you at 110% so there could be no doubt that I'm better than you and you know it. And he's like, for the first time in my life, I'm going to earn it. So here we go. MJF is going to earn his first AEW title. He is not going to win with the help of the Firm. He is not going to win with the help of the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Or he might win with the help of all three, and he might be working all of us. Who knows? But that pretty much happened. I mean, this match started off pretty hot. They had Hangman hit him with an Orihara moonsault from the frickin' stands right off the ramp onto Moxley. Moxley's busted open. They had a pretty good hard hitting match. I thought it was pretty cool. I always hate that the commercials interrupt stuff. Paige hit the avalanche fall away slam that he always hits. So Hangman hits Mox with a clothesline that turns him inside out. Mox in turn hits Hangman with the same clothesline, but I don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. Did he get knocked out? Did he hurt himself? Break something? We don't know. But all we know is that the match ended. The crowd was stunned. I was freaking stunned. I was wondering what the fuck was going on. And they kept the camera off of Hangman, which is traditionally what they start doing now when players are actually injured. They stop putting the camera on them. I'm glad that they do that because that's kind of screwed up. Just watching this person hurt and injured is it's weird. So you could tell that it threw off everything. They had the announcers do a rundown of the card for next week and for what's going on Rampage. MJF ends up coming out and basically did what I said. He feigns cashing in the chip. He tells Mox he's calling a shot at Full Gear. And that's the way the show ended. I mean, to be quite honest, without that injury, this probably would have been one of the better Dynamites I've seen in quite some time. All the matches were fucking awesome. They're building up to some interesting stuff. I thought the MJF promo is probably one of the better promos that's been done in the company. I thought it was great. I thought this was a great episode of Dynamite. It's just sad that it ended off on a note that it is. And I'm telling you, man, when that happened, I was like, Jesus Christ, this company cannot catch a break. 2022 has been the most rough. I think it's the roughest year in AEW history, and that's considering that the year prior they were coming back from the fucking pandemic. I mean, they've had injury after injury. They had rehab. They had injury. They had suspensions. They had internal fighting. They had people wanting to be released from their contracts. More suspensions. A lot of signings. Like, this has been one freaking crazy year for AEW. I am hoping that 2023 is a lot more calmer. I am hoping that with the creation of an ROH weekly show, that it brings some order to the chaos in what's going on with AEW. You know, there are guys who we haven't seen in a while. Like, we still haven't seen Adam Cole. I have no idea what's going on with him, if he's okay. I hope he's okay. I mean, I know he's doing his Twitch channel, so he seems all right. But, I mean, if the injuries are like what they said, I think people were saying that he had a concussion, but I have no idea. He also, I believe, had a torn labrum. So, I guess, you know, to put it plainly, Adam Cole's in rough shape, and he's taking some time off to heal. And it's going to be a while. So a lot of the biggest names in AEW, a lot of the big names that they spent a lot of money on to bring viewers, they're not here. And what you see is what you get with AEW right now. This is the roster they have. And to be quite honest, they're doing quite well. I think it is one of the things that's great about having a deep roster. When you have a bunch of S-tier guys and A-tier guys who go down, you still have plenty of S-tier guys and A-tier guys who could step up to the plate. You know, guys like the Acclaimed, Swerve Our Glory, Moxley. These are all guys who stepped up. Danielson, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, a lot of, Tony Storm. They lost Thunder Rosa after this whole big build of her being champ, and then it marred with all the stupid backstage controversy and bullshit. Then all of a sudden she has an injury that she can't wrestle, but now she's holding on to the title, and it's interim. A lot of crazy shit's been going on. So I'm hoping that by the time 2023 starts, we know what's going on with CM Punk. We know what's going on with Kenny Omega. We know what's going on with the Young Bucks. We get Adam Cole back. We get Thunder Rosa back. Hopefully we get a healthy Chris Statlander, because I'm pretty sure she was being poised to have to be the one to beat Jade Cargill. She should be the one to beat Jade Cargill, to be quite honest. I feel like it's her time. And then she can have an incredible feud with maybe Jamie Hayter, and they could go at it for the TBS title. I mean, you want to give Jamie Hayter the actual AEW Women's title? Fine, give her the TBS title. She deserves gold around her waist. I think the crowd loves her. She's still over, and I think it's time to strike while everyone still is loving Jamie Hayter. And to be quite honest, a lot of times she's been off of TV for a long time, and then she shows up, and she still gets that pop, man. Like, that's staying power. That's someone that you want to... Honestly, don't give her the belt until you have a great title run planned for her. With great contenders and great storylines built up to it. Jamie Hayter deserves that. But yeah, that's the show. Well, this is actually a pretty short show for tonight. But that's the show for this evening, guys. There's not really much else left to discuss. Obviously, anything new going on with the channel, you're going to hear it here first. So subscribe and whatnot. There's going to be changes coming to YouTube, so I might actually be a little bit more accessible to reach via YouTube. So we'll see what's going on there. But yeah, I hope to see you guys next week. A lot of stuff going on in AEW. I'll have what my thoughts were on SmackDown and Rampage. And like I said, eventually, if the stuff in WWE, in the WWE keeps on going the way it's going, I'm going to end up adding a second show. I think I'm just going to do it on SmackDown. So I'll let you know when that happens. I'm just still kind of trying to get into a groove watching it, trying to see how my real-life job work schedule goes, and we're going to see what happens when we see what happens. But anywho, I want to appreciate you guys for tuning in. Richie, thank you for tuning in. I see your activity in the chat. Thank you very much, brother. And I will see you guys next week. Take care.